Justin Baldoni's deposition seemingly reveals yet another shocking allegation that Ryan Reynolds terrorized Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Apparently, Hollywood is not surprised by any of this. And did Ryan actually threaten Justin himself as well?
Today's story is on a whole different level because Justin Baldoni just revealed a side of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively that the public was never supposed to hear about. And this didn't come from rumors. It came straight out of his deposition. The summary judgment filed last week shows that, according to Wayfair, Ryan Reynolds didn't just spread misinformation about Justin. He built a narrative that made Justin look like someone dangerous, someone unstable, someone people should avoid. And what's insane is that Ryan allegedly did it intentionally. Now we're finally getting a glimpse of what Ryan was saying behind Justin's back, and what he was screaming straight to his face. Justin also dropped a chilling detail. He said someone believed to be Jenel from Jones Works told Blake's attorneys about an incident Ryan probably thought was buried forever. That Ryan Reynolds once terrified Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on a movie set, refused to do promotions with him, and then deliberately planted negative stories in the media until The Rock didn't even want to work near him. The picture painted is harsh. When Ryan sees another man as competition, he allegedly destroys them quietly, using the press as a weapon. Leaks, rumors, character assassination, whatever gives him the advantage. But the darkest piece of this story is what happened at Ryan's penthouse. Justin said the night of January 4th, 2024 changed everything for him. Everyone was told it was just a comfort meeting before filming resumed. But according to Justin, it wasn't a meeting. It was an ambush. Jamie Heath testified that Ryan screamed at Justin for 4 to 5 straight hours. Not a conversation. Not a disagreement. A complete verbal attack from someone with power, influence, and control. Jamie even told Michael Gotodle that Ryan didn't talk to Justin. He dismantled him. After that night, Justin sent a message to his group chat. He wrote, "Last night was one of the hardest nights of my life. It felt like a trap. I couldn't think, I couldn't speak. They demanded apologies for things I didn't even understand. Ryan talked to me like a child he was punishing. They said Jamie and I aren't who we pretend to be, and that our podcast is dangerous because people trust us. They read a list of actions from a phone, twisted versions of real events. They called me creepy. They used the word abuse. Then they handed me exact lines they wanted me to repeat as an apology. I couldn't do it. I froze. I felt like I was 7 again. When I got home, I couldn't move." It was exactly as horrible as it sounds. Jamie managed to apologize beautifully, but I couldn't. I had no words. I felt humiliated in front of my own team, not just because of what they were accusing me of, but because I couldn't even form a proper apology. I felt like a terrible human being. The worst part is knowing that so much of what they think about me is simply not true, yet they were so convinced of their own version that it didn't matter. I'm trying to learn from it, and there are lessons. And honestly, thanks to Jamie and my wife, I somehow showed up to set today. I love you all." He also said, "My brain was fighting itself. Everything inside me wanted to run, to blow up the whole movie because what happened felt so unfair. But the only way forward was to acknowledge her feelings, Ryan's rage, and take the hit from an angry husband." He added, "And I couldn't even do that right. I prayed for the words, and nothing came. I felt abandoned by God, even though I know that's not what happened." They told him this was the worst experience of her life, and that his on-set behavior was creepy. He said he was emotionally paralyzed, something he hasn't felt in years. He described Ryan's behavior as that of an angry husband, and that's important. An angry husband showing up to work, inserting himself into meetings he wasn't even supposed to be part of. According to the statement of undisputed facts, the so-called protections they demanded referred to several incidents Blake raised. His comment about circumcision when they first met, his quiet question about her weight in April 2023, and things she talked about in June 2023, like the birth video Jamie showed her, Baldoni's past pornography addiction, and their supposed need to be reminded not to talk about sex or make sexual jokes around female cast or crew. She also demanded that Baldoni never speak to her dead father, never talk about his religion, and never have long private conversations in her trailer, especially moments where he was crying. She wanted notice of COVID exposure too. And even though everyone was stunned, neither man admitted wrongdoing. Sarowitz wasn't present. But here's the twist. Many of her complaints weren't even about harassment. A lot of them looked like control. Like she didn't want him talking about faith, or her father, or personal experiences. Yet throughout the statement of facts, it's shown that Blake herself didn't follow these boundaries. She said nobody could mention her physical appearance, but she messaged male cast members commenting on their appearance. She said no touching, yet she touched people. She banned improvised kissing, and then she herself kissed Baldoni off script after all the rules were already set. There's a lot here, but that confrontation with Ryan, the screaming, the rage, they still deny doing anything wrong. Jamie called it 4 to 5 hours of Ryan berating Justin. And the biggest theme hiding beneath all these protections is obvious. Someone didn't want Blake alone with men, especially not with Baldoni. They didn't want Blake discussing sexual experiences. And Baldoni actually testified that Blake herself brought things to a personal level. She described how she would be mortified if she were having sex with Ryan, climaxed, and he didn't finish afterward. She made it personal. So yes, Ryan Reynolds clearly has unusual control issues regarding his wife. He texted Baldoni early on saying he wanted the filming schedule changed so Blake and he were never apart. He even told Baldoni that if he could change the schedule, he'd tattoo a picture of the line producer's face on his perineum, the taint area. Ryan had no problem being graphic. No problem bringing up sex. And his history of sexually explicit, inappropriate comments in interviews speaks for itself. In my opinion, he's a grotesque man. And this all ties back to what they're alleging now, that Ryan's anger kept escalating and that he sincerely believes Justin is dangerous. A threat. A predator. Someone Ryan needs to protect Blake from. Their motion for summary judgment makes it clear. Ryan was running around Hollywood telling people. He's been spreading one narrative everywhere he goes, that Justin is a sexual predator. There are even text messages from Sarah Nathan to Melissa Nathan claiming that Leslie tried pitching a story back in July, telling Sarah that Justin Baldoni was a predator. But here's the truth. Despite all those whispered accusations, there isn't a single claim of sexual assault, not one allegation of rape, not one woman coming forward, nothing that legally or morally labels him a predator. Zero. Nothing. But that didn't stop Ryan Reynolds from storming through Hollywood, pushing that label onto Justin like it was fact. As I dug through the rewritten script claims and Wayfair's draft from August 2022, I finally got to look at what the intimate scenes originally looked like. How graphic they were. What Blake was actually being asked to do. And while I was comparing the old script with the scenes Blake rewrote, I found something huge. Unscripted kisses, moments she insisted shouldn't happen, yet they happened after she made them sign the agreement. In the original script, there were no kisses. But then Blake, in the final version of the scene, is suddenly grabbing Justin and kissing him. Someone who knows them personally reached out to explain why. According to them, Blake's rewritten script was a disaster. Nobody liked it. It drifted so far from Colleen's book that the team only pretended to entertain her ideas. They never planned to rewrite the whole movie for her. But they still let her film some of her rewritten scenes. So the final cut ended up being a mix. Some scenes kept the original dialogue, others came from what Blake and Ryan privately wrote together. And here's the bombshell. All the on-set problems began after one specific day. The day Ryan showed up. Candace Owens mentioned this months ago, but the insider gave context. At the very beginning of filming, before the strike, Ryan stormed into the set already furious. Not at Justin. He hadn't even interacted with him. He was mad at Blake. He went into her trailer and started yelling. No one from Wayfair can confirm what happened behind that door, but everyone on set knew his behavior that day was unhinged. He had seen something in the dailies, something that made him snap. The crew's assumption? Ryan didn't think Blake was acting like Lily. He thought she was acting like herself. He thought Blake looked too flirty. And he thought there was something between Blake and Justin that crossed a line. That's why he screamed at her. And after that blow-up, Blake was never alone again on set. From that day forward, she always had someone with her. If Ryan wasn't there, a guard or agent was. A constant chaperone. Because Ryan didn't trust his own wife. People whispered that he must have gone through her phone. They believe he found the messages where Blake called herself a ball buster and joked about never with teeth. And you know exactly what that means. After that incident, the non-stop rewriting began. She had already rewritten parts of the film before production, but she continued rewriting during the strike, which is a problem because Ryan was technically scabbing. And while all of this was happening, Ryan's jealousy was exploding. In Colleen's book, Lily is a mean. She's sweet, warm, and a little sarcastic. But during Blake and Ryan's rewrites, Lily suddenly transforms into this mean, sharp, bitter character, mocking Ryle, insulting him, nitpicking his appearance, calling him woke, throwing personal jabs. All things that sounded less like the character and more like Ryan taking shots at Justin through the script. He claimed he was doing it because the script was broken. But the insider says the truth. It was jealousy. Pure jealousy. Ryan was convinced Justin was a threat. He genuinely believed Blake could develop feelings for him, which is why Blake was never left alone again. If Ryan wasn't physically on set, someone else watched her every move. Imagine being a grown woman with 4 kids, and your husband is monitoring you at work like you're a teenager he doesn't trust. And all of this, every meltdown, every scream, every rewrite, every accusation, came from one place: Ryan's paranoia. His belief that Blake felt something for Baldoni, and that Justin was the danger he needed to save her from. But here's the part that no one wants to talk about: the irony. While Ryan was tearing the industry apart with accusations, Blake was the one getting caught kissing Justin off script. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. And at the same time, she was openly making flirty comments to men on set about her sexy boots. People who worked with her said she had this pick-me vibe, like she wanted attention even while pretending she didn't. Meanwhile, Wayfair's notes show something disturbing. Ryan and his PR team were feeding tabloids, blogs, and even their WME talent agency with stories about Justin. There's a phone call to Danny Greenberg that's completely redacted, but insiders say that's the moment Ryan snapped, screamed at him, and called Justin a sexual predator. People close to Justin say Ryan's anger didn't stop there. The threats allegedly escalated. Ryan said if Justin dared to show up at the premiere, he would mess him up, maybe worse. Justin's team couldn't even tell if it was a metaphor or a real threat, but either way, Justin and his wife were terrified. The threats became so frequent and so irrational that WME had to step in and try to calm Ryan down. And calming him down, according to one insider, is almost impossible because he's a raging psychopath. If these depositions ever get unsealed, the explosive part will come from Danny Greenberg. He's the rep who had those conversations where Ryan repeatedly called Justin a sexual predator. Ryan told Ari Emanuel the same thing. He told anyone who would listen the same thing. Not because there was any evidence, but because destroying Justin's reputation was the fastest way to rewrite the movie and crush a man he believed was a romantic rival. And here's another twisted layer. People on set actually felt bad for Blake at first. They said Ryan was so controlling, so intense, so suffocating that it bordered on abusive. But then her own behavior made sympathy nearly impossible. When Ryan wasn't around, Blake was rude, obnoxious, bossy, and impossible to work with. But the second Ryan arrived, she flipped. She became quiet, submissive, letting him take control. 2 completely different personalities. People kept whispering the same sentence. They're both narcissists, but Ryan is worse. So more is coming. When the full deposition transcripts drop, if they ever do, there will be testimony from Greenberg and other WME agents explaining exactly what Ryan did. And insiders say the reality is much uglier than anything the public has heard so far. That's why Ryan is spiraling. That's why he's trying so hard to control the narrative. That's why the PR pieces are rolling out and why TMZ suddenly has clipped sanitized moments of Justin joking about missing some harassment training. They're building a story where Justin looks like the predator, so Ryan can look like the hero, so his breakdown makes sense, so his behavior can be excused. But here's the truth. In 2025, no woman needs a man to save her. And what does it say about Blake's entire girl boss image if Ryan had to assign chaperones to follow her around because he didn't trust her? People on set swear that's exactly what happened. Allegedly. And that's why Ryan is in free fall right now. The sanctions, the leaks, the headlines. Everything you're seeing is part of a larger panic. A cover-up. A scramble to rewrite the truth before the truth rewrites him. So tell me what you think in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell. You don't want to miss what's coming next.